It looks like you guys have spoken. Normally I get quite a few messages asking me to cover something in particular, like a deck or what I think of other Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube uh, video makers and all kind of stuff like that. But by far, the question I've been asked the most recently is my thoughts on the new September 1st ban list. So I'm putting all my original plans for this video aside to answer that question right now. So stay tuned.
I am the stone that the builder refused. I am the visual, the inspiration that made ladies sing the blues. I'm the spark that makes your idea bright. The same spark that lights the dark so that you can know your left from your right. I am the ballad in your box, the bullet in the gun, the inner glow that lets you know to call your brother son. The story that just begun, the promise of what's to come. And I'ma remain a soldier till the war is won.
So the new ban list is just about here, and it's come with a lot of mixed reactions from a lot of the players. First of all, let's go over the cards that are limited to one. This doesn't really bother me, seeing as I've always thought that it should be at one ever since its release. It makes it harder to summon Cyber Twin, but we do have things like Proto Cyber Dragon and the Light Hex Seal to help with that, so it's not that big of a deal. Like Cyber Dragon, I'm surprised these cards are hitting the limited list only just now. I don't think losing Monster Gate will hurt too many decks, but Six Samurai will have to find new tech with the loss of their two copies of Reasoning. Breaker. I sort of have a love-hate relationship with this card. It's true many people are running more cards like Royal Oppression now more than ever, so I guess more removal is needed in the format. I, however, just don't like the idea of a blatant 2 for 1 that's so universal. Now let's go over my thoughts on the cards that are limited to 2 per deck now. This card I don't really have a problem with. I'm guessing they're just getting ready for zombies becoming a stronger deck in the future and they just want to take care of it before it gets out of hand. Not a big deal. No real thoughts about Chain Strike. I guess they just want to remind players that burn is still an option. When I first heard of this card, I was hoping it would eventually find itself on the limited list, but I guess semi-limited will have to do for now. It's no longer at the height of its power, and limiting it to 2 doesn't help the deck at all. However, even when Dark Arm was at its best, many players had second day showings at Shonen Jumps with just 2 or even 1 Dark Arm Dragon in their deck, so it may not weaken the power of the deck any more than it already is. I have the same feelings with this card as I do with Dark Arm Dragon. I feel it needs to be limited, and I don't think that the semi-limited list is where it should be. However, this is a fairly new card, and the company doesn't want to hurt their sales with a new product, so it's no surprise that it isn't limited to 1 right now. This card jumps through the limited list like it's jumping rope. It's just here today, gone tomorrow. But I guess with Raikou, Lightsword, and Hunter, Nobleman of Crossout might not be such a bad card to use nowadays. Not much to say about this card. There's a few nice combos with it, particularly with Sky Scourge, Norelius, whatever the dark one. But all in all, this card doesn't affect too much, and the decision doesn't really make much of a difference. This card can also get somewhat nasty by using it to get Test Tiger, and it really speeds up the Gladiator Beast deck, so I think it was a good choice. Maybe limited 1, but I guess time will tell. I don't have a problem with this decision either. Okay, now let's go over the cards that are banned. It is about time. Now don't get me wrong, I think this is a very fair card power-wise. It's not broken, and it can't just be thrown into any deck, but just about any deck does get a little better with DMOC in it. Japan has been having issues with this card and another on here, but I'll get to that later. I'm kinda sad to see arguably the best spellcaster go, but I can understand why they chose to do so. Whew, how long have we been waiting for this one? You can actually go back into the past videos I've done where people were hoping this card would get banned, and for good reason. This card is just too easy to abuse. It wasn't situational. If you drew it too early, you can ditch it with Destiny Draw, use it with Crush Card Virus. If you didn't draw it early enough, you had Elemental Hero Stratos to get it for you. I mean, I've seen people play Destiny Hero Engine just to use this card, so it's about time that we let this thing go once and for all. Yeah, I uttered the same words I'm sure many of you did when you first read this. Why this and not Monster Reborn instead? Well, it doesn't really make sense until you understand the Japanese metagame. I was talking about this with a friend of mine, Brian Camerino, and he told me just look up the card Arms Hole and you'll understand everything. So I said, really? Fine. Cool, I'll look it up. I did, and it turns out it's a normal spell card that reads send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Select one equipped spell from your deck or graveyard and add it to your hand. You cannot normal summon or set this turn. Wow. So picture this. You can activate this card and have the potential to ditch DMOC from your deck with its effect, then search your deck for premature burial and put it into your hand. Use Preme to bring back the DMOC that you ditched. Its effect is activated and you get back Arms Hold from your graveyard to be used later on in the game to get premature burial again. Premature had to go since they're not going to touch the newer Arms Hole so soon. And since we go by a universal ban list instead of Japan and everywhere else having their own, Premature has to bid us farewell. I understand the choice, and it doesn't really make such a big deal since we do have Monster Reborn to fall back on. Now let's go over the cards that aren't limited whatsoever anymore. I know I'm going to take a backlash for this, but I actually agree with them bringing back Allure of Darkness. Now before you hit the back button and unsubscribe, hear me out and I'll explain with a little science fiction. A werewolf is a powerful beast that pretty much kills anything that crosses its path. Normal weapons have little effect on them, but they do have a weakness. A silver bullet deliberately made to kill the werewolf. Now think of the old Dark Arm Dragon deck as a werewolf. Powerful, almost nothing could beat it. Then the game creates a silver bullet against Dark Arm by limiting a few cards, and Allure of Darkness being one of them. Now the problem with that is, a silver bullet is still a bullet, so it'll kill things it wasn't designed to. A limiting Allure hurt other decks other than just Dad. It hurt Gravekeeper Monarchs. I mean, sure it sucks, but Dark Magician decks needed it. Removal decks that uses like DD Scout playing got weakened. So giving us back 3 of Lore of Darkness doesn't get me upset. Plus, Dark Arm Dragon isn't really as strong as it used to be. It's already lost 1 Dark Armed, so I don't feel that giving us back a Lore of Darkness is really a bad decision. With Crush Card Virus and Destiny Draw available, I don't know how smart it is to bring Malicious back, but I guess only time will tell if this is a bad decision or not. The last 4 cards I don't really have much of an issue about. Light and Darkness Dragon, not a big deal now that we don't have Destiny Hero Disc Commander, so people would kill themselves using this card, so I don't think this is a problem. Stat boosting equips have had a bad rap for a long time, so again, no problem. There are 3 E-Emergency Call, 3 Gladiator Beast Prowling Ground, why not 3 of this? With 3 Decree and 3 Jinzos, if you're losing because of traps, I mean, it's really your own fault, but 3 Royal Decree at 3 I don't think is a problem either. Well, those are my thoughts. Feel free to leave a text response or a video response on what you feel about the ban list, or what you feel about my thoughts on the ban list. Until next time, class dismissed.